Han votado 36 delegados y 36 delegados han votado por la doctora Carissa F.
First time. Congratulations. Of course you can see one.
Felicidades.
Gracias, mi amor.
Felicidades. So, please.
Cuídame la espalda.
Where's your yellow tie, Minister? No te aviso, ¿no? I'm making sure as if it's the first time I'm walking down this corridor.
Yeah, I want to.
We're going to win another little.
I don't want to fall.
Don't fall, Sonia.
I'm holding the Yeah. As soon as they go. Yeah.
Welcome in another little.
There is room.
There is room.
Say something for your Facebook viewers.
Oh, hello. I'm so happy. Thank you.
Bravo, doctora.
Five more years.
I do.
5 more years.
Yeah. I'm very
Doing
happy.
well.
Thank you so
Doing
much.
great.
Ready?
Were you nervous? You were
Yeah,
nervous.
no, no.
Monica was nervous. Wow. Mr. President, ministers and secretaries of health, ambassadors, representatives of PAHO member states, associated member states, and observer states, Director General of the World Health Organization, colleagues, and my family in PAHO. Good morning. Let me begin by thanking you, the member states, for once again placing your trust in me to lead this venerable organization. I feel privileged that you have called upon me to serve the peoples of the Americas, and I do firmly pledge to do my best to continue to answer this noble calling. At the same time, I cannot help but acknowledge that this election, this victory, however small it is today, is due far more than my own humble efforts. It is in fact a testament to the hard work of PAHO's staff, to those who toil day in and day out to improve the health of our peoples. Many of those staff members are in this room today, or some of them are watching via WebEx or via live streaming, and so I would like to give them a hearty applause of appreciation. From an even wider perspective, I owe the success of the past 5 years to the tens of thousands of health professionals who have worked in your countries tirelessly on the front lines to deliver health services throughout the Americas. Similarly, the political commitment to health by PAHO's member states has been exceptional. We have been true partners with multilateral institutions, governments, academia, and civil society. From Tierra del Fuego to the Darien Gap and up to the Baffin Bay, from Havana to Port of Spain, we have toiled in solidarity to improve the health and well-being of the peoples of the Americas. Despite transient political divisions, we have built on our common humanity and helped our brethren most in need. It was, and it still is today, the right thing to do. Speaking of brethren, I am glad that our newly elected Director General Tedros of WHO is in the room today. Tedros, thank you for being here. We have established an excellent working relationship in what is a few short weeks since he has been in office, and I'm happy that he brings fresh leadership to WHO with a clear vision and strong mandate. I believe that PAHO's relationship with WHO, as both the regional office of the Americas and as an independent multilateral organization, is stronger than ever. You have heard much this week about the achievements of the past 5 years through my quinquennial report and the Health in the Americas discussion. The region has made substantial progress on many of the key health indicators, although significant disparities still persist among and within countries. We are nonetheless building on a strong foundation, and for the first time in decades, we see peace in all of our national countries and all of our Americas. So the destination going forward is clear, as between the SDGs and our new Sustainable Health Agenda for the Americas 2030, and thank you again for that, we have set out tangible and measurable goals on which we will work collectively to achieve. Determining what path we will pursue to arrive at our destination as individual nations, communities, and as a regional bloc will be our next task. Development of the next PAHO strategic plan will begin in early 2018, and we will have a country consultative group advising us throughout the developmental process. I will invite you to join us as we plot the way forward together. I intend to frame the next strategic plan, and indeed my second and final term, as a commitment to every person living in this hemisphere. A commitment to deliver to all of our peoples from all walks of society, to deliver a long and productive life with quality care into our senior years, to access to quality health services without fear of impoverishment, access to medicines and vaccines that we can afford, including effective antibiotics, freedom from preventable diseases with reduced exposure to disease vectors, access to sexual and reproductive health services, access to healthy, nutritious food that allows us to grow and learn, clean water and adequate sanitation, and last but not least, safe refuge and adequate health care in the face of disasters and health emergencies. To do this, I will need your help, your support, and your leadership. However, action by the health sector alone will not be sufficient to achieve these objectives, our common objectives. This is why when I visit your countries, I meet with heads of states, I meet with other cabinet ministers, and I meet with officials across your other sectors. To all of the governments and peoples that have so generously welcomed me to your shores during the last 5 years, please accept my sincerest gratitude. Ministers and secretaries of health, I do my best to support you and to obtain the technical and financial resources that you need to improve the health outcomes in your countries. Looking beyond government, however, I am convinced that we must mobilize our partners in academia, civil society, and yes, the private sector. The private sector is not our enemy. It is the engine of economic growth and prosperity. However, as has been amply demonstrated in the past decades, the private sector alone is incapable of delivering essential social services for all peoples. A strong government role is fundamental to ensuring the availability of quality, affordable health care, the keystone of universal health access and universal health coverage. Let us be clear, strong governance in the health sector is critical. It has been demonstrated that where the government mandates and ensure essential quality services and medicines, these can be delivered much less expensively and more equitably. Out-of-pocket expenses must be minimized or altogether eliminated, and healthcare is an essential public good. And like education, it should be free of cost at the point of service, so we can ensure that the poorest receive the care that they need. Climate change is real, and I don't have to belabor this point. It was amply demonstrated in all of the weather events that occurred in the Caribbean and in the United States of America. In the health sector, this means mitigating the effects of more frequent and severe weather events and temperature fluctuations, tackling the spread of disease vectors into locations where they were previously unknown, and ensuring resilient and smart health services for populations affected or displaced by rising sea levels. We are now faced with the frightening threat of overweight and undernourished children, as more of our young people are raised on cheap, salty, sugar, and fat-filled foods and drinks. We are witnessing the food industry adopting tactics used by the tobacco industry to fight pro-health measures such as food labeling and increasing taxation of unhealthy foods. We must not stand aside and allow this to make our families and children obese, with all the accompanying health consequences that are harming and killing our people. Some people think that the fight against big tobacco has been won, but this is far from the truth. There are around 127 million smokers in our region. 127 million people who today are at risk of serious illness. Tobacco use is the main preventable risk factor for the non-communicable diseases. Yet, there are member states in our region, and the DG mentioned it, member states in our region that have not yet implemented the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, even though more than a decade has elapsed since its approval. This is unacceptable. We must tax tobacco products, ensure smoke-free environments, mandate stringent packaging guidelines, and ban advertising. You know, these statements are not my opinion. They are based on scientific evidence. PAHO, along with WHO, must not be afraid to take evidence-based positions on issues that are at times perceived to be beyond the realm or the remit of public health. I cannot neglect to speak on a topic that has been raised to me by several of you in this room: societal violence. Societal violence is a menace in many of our countries, particularly those in the Caribbean and Central America. Certainly, the impact of violence on our societies and our health systems is irrefutable. Such violence is linked to many factors, not least of which is the illicit drug trade, organized criminal and gang activities, and the lack of economic alternatives for many poor young men across our region. However, I do not believe that societal violence is solely a public health issue. Addressing it requires an all-of-government, all-of-society approach, and we in the health sector will participate actively. As many of you may know, Haiti holds a special place in my heart. Our Francophone Caribbean sister has had a long and difficult history, due in no small part to the effects of external actors. As long as Haiti continues to experience a maternal mortality rate of over 300 deaths per 100,000 live births, we as a region have failed. I have dedicated a significant part of my time and attention to Haiti during these past 5 years, and I intend to redouble my efforts for the next 5. I will be ceaseless in my advocacy. Let me gratefully acknowledge the many countries in this region that are working actively with Haiti, and I hope that I can count on you to continue this work. As for the PAHO Secretariat, let me acknowledge that we are on solid footing. Yet, we must strive for constant improvement. I can assure you that I will not shrink from taking the steps that are necessary to ensure the ongoing prosperity of PAHO and its continued success in impacting the major public health issues of our time. Whether it is in the elaboration of strategic plans, the definition of programmatic direction, joint assessments of the performance of our country offices, and indeed, through governing bodies meeting like this one, I have come to rely on you, our member states, as partners every step of the way. To my family, who are not here but very near to my heart, I want to register my thanks for their unwavering love and support. I remember in a very special way my husband today, who is not here because he was forced to remain in Dominica by Hurricane Maria. I just want him to know that he is my rock. So once again, thank you. Thank you all. We are on this journey together, and I will do everything in my power to serve our greater cause, that all people of these magnificent Americas can lead healthy and productive lives, that our children can grow into a world of ever greater hope and prosperity. Thank you so much for your confidence that you've placed in me, and thank you for your support.